Hello everybody and welcome to this verbing class. Sorry we're a couple of minutes late. I had a slight false start there, but it seems to be working okay now. So if you have booked a slot in this class, do come along in and join me. Today's class topic is called Parenthood, and we're going to be talking about the morality of parenthood. Is it a moral choice to be a parent? And what kind of things do you consider upon becoming a parent? So if you are a parent, maybe you've got some interesting things to share with us. And if you're not, maybe you're considering it, or maybe you think that it might be part of your future. Could be an interesting class. If you just want to practice your English and expand your vocabulary, then this is also a great place, so do come along in. And while we're waiting for everybody, let me let you know about a couple of things that are very useful on Verbling. The first one that I'm sharing now in the chat box is the link to my Verbling teacher page, and this is where you can find out all the information that you might need to know. It includes my class introductory, my introductory video and excerpts from past classes, and also my schedule for private tutoring slots as well as upcoming classes. And if there is anything else that you would like to find out that's not mentioned on the Verbling teacher page, then you can write a message. So it's a great handy place to go. And if you're a Facebook follower, you might like to follow me or any of the other teachers on Facebook as well. So do check those two pages out if you have time, and we're going to say hello to our students. So first of all, Martin, hello, long time no see. How are you?
Yes, fine, thank you. And you?
I'm well, thank you, Martin. Have you had a good summer?
Oh yes, the summer has been very well. August was very nice indeed.
Wonderful.
Now it's a bit cold. Autumn has started now, I will say.
Yep, you're into autumn and ready for a new, well, academic year at least anyway.
Yeah.
And
yes.
we're already on our way to Christmas again. I can hardly believe it, but it's that kind of Christmas stretch now. So I'm glad to hear that you've had a good holiday. And has anything else happened, Martin, of interest?
Nothing, not really. Everything is quite quiet and relaxed here.
Have you been going on some nice walks?
Oh yes, more or less 3 times a week I walk 10 kilometers or so.
Excellent. Well, that sounds wonderful. Hopefully the weather will hold a bit so that you can still enjoy your walking.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to the class, Martin.
Thank you.
Maria, how are you doing today?
Fine, thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm great, thank you, Maria. How was your weekend? What did you get up to at the weekend?
I had a party because my best friend tomorrow she goes to the United States to Boston.
Oh wow, is she going to live there?
Yes, 1 year.
Okay, so you had a kind of a leaving party.
Okay, yes, leaving party.
And how did it go? Was it a nice leaving party? Was it a little bit sad?
No. No, the party was well, a lot of drinks. People were so drunk.
Oh dear, it was a wild party, Maria.
Yes.
All right, well at least she's had a good send-off. So when does she actually go? I hope it's not today, if she's going to be feeling pretty bad on the plane.
Yes, she goes tomorrow, and she is very nervous because she doesn't speak very well English. She nothing. No, it's okay.
So,
it's okay.
Yeah, so I'm sure that she'll learn quickly, Maria, when she gets there.
I hope,
All right.
I hope.
Yeah, well, you can, Skype her in the US and help her with her English, maybe.
Yes, maybe.
Or maybe she'll be so relieved to talk to a Spanish speaker that she'll spend the whole time talking to you in Spanish.
No, I think that she will look for Spanish friends.
Probably. All right. Well, that's good that you had an enjoyable, kind of an interesting weekend. Welcome to the class. Julian, how are you today?
Hi, Amy. Fine, thanks. And you?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. And tell us about your weekend. What did you do?
Not really not much. I relax in the Sunday with my family. I
Mm-hmm.
cook it to my mother and my
So you
brother.
cooked for my mother. Mm-hmm.
For my mother, yes.
What did you cook?
Uh, Meat with chocolate.
Meat with
Uh,
chocolate?
yes. I found this recipe in internet and I did and it's so great. Maybe I think in the first I in the beginning when I start I begin that maybe don't work so good, but later my mother and my brother like so much this
Recipe.
recipe. Okay,
It's a very
yes,
funny word, I know. It looks like receipt, but it's pronounced
the
recipe. Okay.
recipe. Thank you.
So what kind of meat was it, Julian?
Oh, I don't say that. Let me
Beef, lamb, pork, chicken, turkey?
line back of
Back of the
uh,
what animal?
cow
A cow. Okay, so beef.
cow
It was beef.
beef.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ah, okay,
with beef.
beef with Yeah, I now you mention that. I think I may have heard of it before, but I've never actually tasted it. So you recommend it? It was a success? Was it difficult to do?
No, I spent around maybe 1 hour to do that,
Wow.
and it's very easy because it's the meat and chocolate and spices
Hmm.
and salt. No more.
Wow, amazing. All right, thank you. Sounds amazing. I might have to give that one a try, Julian.
Okay.
Welcome to the class.
Okay, thank you.
And hello to Eric.
Hello, teacher.
Nice to meet you, Eric.
Nice to meet you too.
Where are you from?
I'm from Manaus, Brazil.
Okay. And how was your weekend? What did you do at the weekend? That's what we're discussing.
Ah, uh, first, here in Brazil, it's really hot in
Mm-hmm.
the last week. So uh, I have been spending more time in going to waterfalls and the parks and inside the buildings with air conditioning.
Fair enough. And either enjoying
Yes.
or staying away from the heat.
Sorry.
Either enjoying or staying away from the heat, by the sounds of things.
Ah, yeah, sure. Yes.
All right, wonderful. Well, it's lovely to meet you, Eric, and welcome to you as well. So let's have a look at our article, guys. We've got some kind of reading, intense reading to do today, so we've got a real good reading practice. And it's about parenthood. So before we start, let's just see who in this class has children. Who is a parent? So Martin, are you a parent?
Yes, I am. I've got two sons.
Two sons.
Yeah.
And okay, Maria, how about you?
I don't have any children.
Okay. So you don't have any children
No,
yet, or that you probably won't have children?
no, I won't have any children.
Okay. Julian, how about you?
No, I don't have anyone. And maybe in the future it could be.
Possibility.
Yeah,
Okay.
but no in the near future.
In the distant future, Julian.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Right. Not
And
right at
you?
the moment. Fair enough. Eric, how about you? Do you have children?
No, teaching.
No?
But I have some nephews.
You have some nephews. All right.
Yeah.
So it's not quite the same, but it's close. So is that
Yeah.
yeah, awesome. Okay, so there we go. We now know. So we've only got one definitive parent because I'm not a parent either in this class. So Martin, we may need to ask you some questions later.
You're welcome.
All right. So click on the link, everybody, or if not, you can just share the screen with me. And what we are going to do is really focus on our reading today. So what we'll do is we'll read some sections together, and then we'll pause just to go over any vocabulary, any pronunciation issues or practice, and also just make sure that everybody understands. So if when we're reading you come across a word that you're not sure about, just make a note of it so that when I ask, we can mention it. Okay, so since you're the parent of this class, Martin, could you start us off, please?
Yes. Parenthood, the great moral gamble. The decision to have a child is more ethically uncertain than you might realize. I didn't choose to have a child, not if choosing means something rational, weighing pros and cons, coming to a conclusion. I tried that process but ran away from it because even though I wanted a child, it seemed to me that creating a whole new person was such an enormity that no one could rationally decide to do such a thing. There is so much at stake, and so little certainty about the outcome. A child that I conceived might be happy, but he might be miserable beyond endurance. The child might bring happiness to others, or he might ruin people's lives. It seemed to me that creating life was an act of astonishing hubris because it made me responsible, maybe morally responsible for huge consequences. For most of our species' history, we were spared that decision because procreation was not, for the most part, a choice, but merely something that happened to us. It was a biological destiny. We escaped that destiny when science gave us control over our fertility. But I wasn't equal to the freedom that science gave me. Fearful of such an immense decision amid such uncertainty, I allowed myself to drift into parenthood instead of choosing it. I let other people's expectations, the sheer normality of having children, construct a new sociological destiny for me to replace the biological one and protect me from what seemed an impossible choice.
Thank you, Martin. Beautiful reading. For the start, just one word here at the beginning. We usually pronounce this ethically rather than ethically, okay? Ethically.
Yeah, that's clear.
Great. Okay, so that's quite a full-on first paragraph. Are there any words that people would like to ask about here? No? Are we all okay? All right. In that case, I might ask Eric. What do you think the first paragraph was trying to say, Eric? Just roughly, what's the general idea, do you think? Any ideas?
No.
Quite tricky, wasn't it? All right, no problem. How about Maria or Julian? Do either of you have any ideas about what this author was trying to say in this first paragraph?
Well, I think that in the first paragraph says that having children is not a decision. You cannot make a decision. It's like the human beings must I understand this. I don't know. The human beings must do this for endure the species, something like
Yes.
this.
Yep. Okay. Well explained. Yep. That's a good point. So almost as if it's not really a choice. Part of it was that. Yes. Part of it was that. What about the other part of it? Can you add anything,
Yeah.
Julian? Sure.
Um, yes, I think that now it's trying to show us that the creation of the new life it's a decision for us, for other species into the world, to the
Yep.
earth. It's a natural behavior, but now with the science allows us decide if we can have a children or not. But other question is say that it's you must, or yes, you must, or you should decide in responsible way to get a children, because in this time it's not easy for
Mhm.
the children and for parents and for the society, for many actors included in this in the growing up of the children.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Absolutely. So he sort of introduces the idea, as you rightly say,
Teacher,
that yeah,
sorry.
no
What is
problem.
a myth?
A mid. A mid means in the middle of or among, Maria. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, before we carry on, I'm just going to say hello to the two Annas who have arrived. So, Anna, Carolina, hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you.
We've just started, guys, so we've only read the first paragraph, so you're welcome to just quickly skim over that and catch up. And I'll
I just
repost
have
the link.
I just have a question about the word hubris. Wouldn't you say hybris instead more oftenly than use the word hubris?
Yes, it is a bit of an unusual one, but yeah, it's used reasonably commonly, Martin, so not too...
Hybris could use as just as well, wouldn't you?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Um, Anna, the second Anna, I just want to welcome you as well, sorry. So,
Hello, Amy. Hello, everyone. My
I
sound
don't...
is okay, right?
Yes, we can hear you, and I
Oh,
don't know if
great.
I've met you before, Anna. Have I?
No, you certainly didn't. It's my first day at group classes, so we
Oh,
haven't met before, and I'm really glad to participate in your class today.
wonderful. That's great. And it's lovely to meet you. And welcome.
Likewise.
We've just been this article is all about parenthood. Um, and so we've just kind of covered that so far Martin is the only one who has children. He has two sons. And Julian and Eric don't have kids, but they might consider it. Maria thinks she probably won't. So how about you two Annas? Do you have children?
Anna, go ahead. Okay, thank By the way, you
Oh.
could call me Anna with double N, so.
Anna with double N. Oh, that rolls off the tongue nicely, Anna with double N. All right. So how about you tell us first then? Do you have children?
Well, you were talking to me, right?
Yes.
Okay, and no, I'm only 27 years old, and I consider it a really early age to have kids, and I probably won't have any for the next 10 years, I guess. And then, I don't know, anything could happen.
Anything could happen. Absolutely. Oh, the other Anna's disappeared. Maybe she's not struggling a bit with her connection, so we'll have to come back to her. Okay, so I want to just go back to Martin. Sorry, Martin. I wanted to ask you something before we carry on. As you were reading this, and maybe now you've absorbed the meaning, because sometimes it's quite hard to focus on that as well when you're reading, but do you kind of have any, do you agree with this guy? Do you remember having any of these feelings before you became a father?
Not at all. I think that the way the author here is considering the world is like you have to stay in bed because if you go out, you might do some harm on somebody. And if you
Yeah.
drive in your car, you never know what's going to happen. And to consider having a child, you certainly not try to think about if this child will do some bad things to other people. When is it
Yeah.
then my fault? I mean, it is so far fetched. I've never ever thought like that, and I haven't heard anybody who considered having a child uh, would think in these lines.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I
it's
think
an unusual perspective, isn't it?
it is, and it is if you. Of course, we are living on here in the world, and of course, when you are doing something, you might harm somebody, and if you're not going it on purpose, then well, bad things happen all the time, and you cannot go around having bad conscience even before you have done anything. You just consider I might harm somebody next week when I'm driving in my car. I mean, I couldn't live like that, thinking like that at all.
Yeah, for sure. It is definitely interesting. Do you remember any times when, for instance, your children or something about being a parent really surprised you? Was there any sort of, oh my gosh, this isn't what I expected kind of moments? Or was it sort of roughly what you imagined?
Well, I think what I have experienced has been more or less what I have imagined. Small children, you have small problems. When the children get older, the problems get more serious sometimes. But
Mm-hmm.
we really haven't had any serious problems. But all otherwise, the normal problems you have with children. Now they're quite old. The youngest is 34,
Mm-hmm.
and
All
the
right.
eldest is 43. So
Yeah.
they're
So
not more.
you feel like you've done your job now, Martin, and you can just
Yeah, yeah,
enjoy having, older
yeah.
children who have their own families and things. It's
Yeah,
nice.
absolutely. And the eldest, we've got grandchildren as well. So the eldest has got 2 children.
Yeah. Wow,
So,
that's really lovely. That's definitely one of the bonuses, I think.
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
right. It's interesting. Thanks for sharing your opinion. Let's continue reading a bit more. So, Maria, could you carry on from I was right, please?
I was right to be concerned about my children's uncertain future and unpredictable impact on the world. But was I right that the decision to create life was possibly blameworthy if things turned out badly? Here is a line of thought that could have reassured me. Whether what I do is morally right or wrong doesn't depend on the good or bad outcomes of my actions, because these outcomes are influenced by factors beyond my control. It depends instead on my intention at the time of acting. However risky my actions may be risky my actions might be in every other respect. I never face moral risk because I am only answerable for my intentions and not for how things happen by chance to turn out. As an object of moral judgment, I am immune to misfortune, utterly secure in the face of uncertainty.
Could you just read the next one too, please, Maria?
Okay. So imagine someone who decides to have a child and sets about parenthood with the best intentions, to bring up that child as well as possible, to make the child happy and a source of happiness in others. Imagine that these are real intentions, not just wishes but a determined, conscientious commitment. And imagine that the child grows up to do as Lanza did. He walks into elementary school one day and shoots a score of small children and the adults who try to protect them.
Thank you, Maria. Well done. Great reading.
Okay.
It's quite a tricky piece of writing, but you did great. Just a couple of words I want to check out with you. The first one is this one, uncertainty.
Uncertainty.
Great. And then this one here, determined.
Determined.
Perfect. Well done. Okay, does anyone have any questions, first of all, before we talk about this little part?
Yes, I have a few questions.
Okay.
First is blameworthy. What is that?
Good question. Does anyone want to have a go at explaining what blameworthy might mean?
The worthy of blaming. To blame somebody means that somebody has caused a problem for other people, and you can blame him by telling him so. And worthy, is it just worthwhile doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at, thank you, Martin. If you look at the word trustworthy, which is much more common, it means somebody who is able to be trusted. You can trust that person. So in a way, this is the same thing, but we exchange it with blame. Is it a situation that you should or be able to blame somebody for? So hopefully that makes sense, Julian. Any other questions?
Utterly?
Utterly.
Secure? Yeah.
Utterly is a great word. I love that word. Anyone know what utterly means? Just trying to find it, actually. There we go. What does utterly mean?
You could say very in a way.
Completely.
Completely, very.
Yeah.
Very much
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah, it's like another way of saying completely or totally or something like that. It's just a nice sounding word. We have a spread in the UK called Utterly Butterly, which I think is an awesome name. Okay. Any other questions? No? All right, so let's look at what the meaning of this is. Julian, what do you have to say about this? What do you think he's talking about here? He goes into a bit more depth about the subject.
It's like a resume. They say that it's not possible control every issues if it thinks about their children. You know the present, but the future is uncertain, tiny, and really maybe you can in your mind you try to give the child the best education, the best I don't know, housing and other things, wearing and I don't know, maybe other things, but that doesn't ensure that these people will be the best into the world. It depends. The in the future, this child could make different things and maybe the opposite that you try to learn to teach them.
Yeah, absolutely. Great explanation, Julian, because it's quite complicated, but you've done well there. Let's just see what Eric has to say. Eric, do you think they give an extreme example, right? About, a child who grows up and becomes a murderer and shoots children, which is, obviously very shocking. But do you think that in general the parents are responsible for children's actions or their children's actions, and if so, up to what age? Is there an age? Do you think the parents are always responsible in some way? What's your personal opinion?
Teacher, in my opinion, parents are responsible until certain age. For example, 8 and 10 years old, for example. But after that, the child starts to have conscience about what he or she is doing. So I believe that's not only our parents that should give the uh, uh, give you attention what is right or not, but the school also and the government should have more practical experience with this child, because you go to school and you only learn about Portuguese and math, but you should have also uh, about morally, ethics, something about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, interesting. Thank you, Eric. Maria's just mentioned there's a movie about this topic. I've seen part of this movie, Maria, too. Can you tell us what movie you're referring to and what happens in it, just briefly?
In the movie. Teacher.
Pardon? Yeah?
Sorry, in the movie or in the paragraphs?
In the movie. In the movie.
In the movie, talks about this. There are a parent who have two children, one girl and one boy. And the boy, well, they are trying to. So I mean, it is difficult. It is difficult, teacher. But the parents are good parents. The children have a lot of things: good education, a good house. They have a good level of the life, and one of them is a psychopathy. No.
Psychotic?
Psychopath? No.
Psychopath?
Yeah, psychopath. Because I don't want to tell the end.
To give it away. Don't want to give it away, Maria. Fair enough. But yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, it's a little bit disturbing in my personal opinion, but yes, it is quite artistic and quite well done. So if this is something that interests you, maybe check that out, practice your English. Okay, so let's carry on reading, and we'll go to Julian. Whatever else?
Whatever else the parents forfeits as a result of atrocity, surely she or he is secure against blame. Wouldn't we feel compassion for such a person and offer consolation by saying, "Your intentions were good. You cannot blame yourself for sure a turn of events." Isn't that a certainty amid uncertainty that lessens the same enormous hubris that we may feel when we consider parenthood? Disturbingly, it's a certainty that evaporates under examination, because the fact is that, despite the emphasis you place on good intentions, we do routinely pass moral judgment on ourselves and others for a comment that we're not intended, not foreseen, and influenced by factors beyond our control. Philosophers call this moral luck, by which this means that the judgment we deserve often depends not only on our intentions, but on how our actions happen to turn out.
Thank you,
This
Julian.
moral
We'll stop there. I think that's enough to cope with just for the moment. Well done, lovely reading. Just this one here comes up a couple of times. Judgment. Great. Okay, questions. Any questions about particular words or sections or meaning overall?
Yes, I have one.
What is lessons?
Sorry, Maria, which word?
Sorry. The word is lessons. It's similar to lessons.
Ah, lessons. Okay, I'm struggling to find it, but yes, as in to lessen something. This one here, right?
Yes.
Anyone like to explain what that means?
That comes from the word less. to make it smaller.
Yeah, exactly. To make something smaller or to reduce it. As opposed to lessons, which is like the same as a class. Any other questions?
Yes, the 40 scene.
Whereabouts? Sorry, Julian?
The word 40 scene.
Foreseen? Ah, here.
14, yes.
Okay, what does foreseen mean? Or foresee, because this is the past tense. Anyone know?
It's again two words, the see and the word for, and then to see in advance.
Exactly right. Thank you, Martin. Well explained. Very succinct. Yeah, to literally see something before it happens. In advance of it actually happening. Any other questions? Right. Okay, Martin, I'm going to ask you, one, what do you think these couple of paragraphs are trying to say? And two, did you ever have the experience, when your children were growing up, of a time when you felt responsible for something they did?
Well, in a way, if they behaved badly or if they were doing badly with another child, I might think that I should have brought them up a better way, but it has haven't been any serious matters really, I will say. And I don't think, of course, if your child are doing something really awful, you will feel sort of responsible for it. Certainly, if it is not younger than, say, 12, 14 years old, and
Yeah.
then you will feel that you should have brought them up better.
Yeah.
I think most people will do that and think like that. When they're getting older, then it's just out of your responsibility, really. And again, you could blame yourself. Of course, if they are doing something awful and if they are 20 years old, your children, and again, you could blame yourself. You should have um, told them not to do so, or have anticipated in advance that something might happen. And I don't think it's worthwhile. Then you could just go on blaming yourself for so many other things.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
I'm not feeling like that at all, I would say.
Okay.
Otherwise, there would be so many things you can always make afterthoughts. Something has happened somewhere, and could you have done anything to prevent it? Sometimes you could, maybe, but
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't just really refer to children, does it? It kind of refers to other things in life as well.
yes, absolutely.
Good point. Good point. It's a bit of an interesting one. So let's see, maybe Eric, what do you think? Do you think that how far are parents responsible for their children? Do you think that that they should feel responsible? Is it related to what you were saying before about the age of children? If they did something really, really terrible, do you think that parents have really a full influence on their children, or do you think part of it is just the children themselves? They're human beings of their own devices from the get-go. When they're born, that's it.
I think that depending of the situation, there are parents who raise their children so bad. No, it's true. Or situation about sexual abuse or something. I think that these kind of children turn out the bad way. But for example, if there are good parents who raise their children wonderful and the children are psychopathies.
Psychopaths.
Sorry, psychopaths. They don't have any fault because they cannot do anything. And sometimes these children turn out I think that depending of the situation of the family and depending of the children's and their man.
Yeah, yeah. I happen to agree with you. I think, Maria. I think to a certain extent, if you abuse your children, then they have, it is your fault, obviously. Or even maybe not so much abuse, but just some bad parenting, maybe cause some problems. But overall, there's only so much that you can actually do, really. Julian and Eric, both of you said at the beginning of class that there's a chance that one day you may have children. Does this kind of topic, has this ever crossed your mind before? Have you ever thought, oh, I'm not really sure if I want to have children because the huge responsibility, or do you think that, like Martin, it's part of life and it's not something that worries you so much?
Well, I I I didn't tell about the children in this way. I thought in some times, what is the better way to teach she or her, uh, she or him?
Him or her, Julian?
Yes.
Yep.
um, about the life. What is the right things to teach? Because in some cases the scientific subjects, it's not the only writings, but that is a opposite point about this perception. This is try to say that maybe you have a good intention in your life, maybe you can made all of process very good, and you felt, but really you don't felt, you don't fall with him or with her. The child decide in all of case decide the destiny for his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
You only give them a guide for the life, but only you couldn't live the life for them.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Nice answer. Thank you, Julian. Eric, just one further slightly different question for you. Do you think that it's very important to be in certain circumstances when you do have a child? Or do you think that it doesn't really matter? Like, I'm suggesting possible financial or relationship or house or anything like that.
Can you ask again? Sorry.
Sorry, Eric, what did you say?
Can you ask again?
Yeah,
I
sure.
didn't.
What I was saying is, do you think that it's important to be in certain circumstances in your life when you have a child? Like, do you think that you should, I don't know, it could be own a house or be married or have a certain amount of money, or do you think those things are not so important as maybe just the love that you provide or other things like that?
Okay.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, now I get.
Hmm.
Thank you. I believe you have to have a base to have a child. For example, you have a good income. You have you need to have a house, and wife or husband. Uh, to be prepared to have a family, but
Hmm.
you cannot be too how can I say to
Fussy?
to be to be very old. I mean,
Uh-huh.
because when I think to enjoy more with your child, you need to be younger.
Okay, so
Uh,
it's a
to keep him with
balance.
you. to play football, to play video game, everything with your child, and teach him about everything. I believe you need to be too young.
Mhm. Okay, interesting.
It's my opinion.
Let's just see quickly before we carry on reading what Martin has to say about this. Martin, when you had your first son, were you happy? Were you in like a situation that you had planned? Were you an age that you had planned? Did it all sort of happen as per your imagination?
We had planned it. My wife was still at the university, but we thought that it was not good to wait too long because we had a situation where it was quite nice. So my wife was only 23 or 24 when we got our first child. I think it was.
Mhm.
I was a bit older,
All
but
right.
we lived in a house, so we had jobs. Both of us. He was at university, but had a job as well at the same time. So we just thought that it was the time to get the first child.
All right.
And
So you were in quite a
then we
stable
waited
position.
nine years to get the second one, and
Wow.
we should not. I think to do it again. I think we should have got. We should not have thought so much. I think most people are thinking too much about it, so they're getting too old nowadays before they get their children.
Mhm. All right. Interesting. Before they have, Martin, we usually use the verb have with children.
Yeah.
All right. Let's carry on reading, and it's Eric, it's your turn. Excuse me. This moral vulnerability.
Okay. This moral vulnerability to luck is pervasive because nothing at all that we do as parents is fully under our control. Some people, for instance, have to do their parenting in very challenging circumstances. The parent of a child of difficult temperament in a country whose gun laws make it easy for the mentally ill to obtain lethal weapons is more likely than another parent to find him or herself morally implicated in murder. They say, I am Madam Pleasant's mother, grew an enormous readership online and gave voice to the angst felt by parents who fear their emotionally troubled kids could become violent.
Keep going.
We are also vulnerable to chance in our personalities. The good and bad traits we have in two posts, which of course affects our parenting. We have only a limited control over our characters. For some people, being a dedicated, attentive, engaged parent is just easy. That doesn't make it wrong to praise them. It means that they are lucky enough to earn praise for good actions that come naturally to them. Others are unlucky enough to be blamed for deficits they did not choose. Of course, we can do battle with our shortcomings, and we can admire people who are good despite themselves by a constant effort of will. But even this effort of will is something that some people are lucky enough to find easier than others. When it comes to our guilt or innocence as parents, we are at the mercy of chance.
Thank you. Thanks, Eric. There's just a few words in this first part that were a bit tricky.
Okay.
So let's go through them. This one here is pervasive.
Pervasive,
Great. This one here is mentally.
mentally,
Lethal.
lethal,
And this one's a bit tricky. This is anxiety.
and Again?
Anxiety. Anxiety.
Anxiety.
Yes, it's like a Z sound. I know it looks like it's completely different to how it sounds, which is rather common in English, unfortunately. So thank you very much. Lovely reading, Eric. Questions from anybody? Everyone okay with all that vocab? Okay, great. So, who shall I ask? Maybe Maria. What does it say, sort of mostly in the second of these two paragraphs, Maria? What's it really saying here about the difference between certain parents and others?
Teacher, I am reading again because I don't understand I don't understand the first time.
Okay, I'll let you continue reading over again. Would anyone else like to have a go? Who feels they got the gist of it? No? All right, so let's have a bit of a closer look. So what it really says, if we pick out some key points, is that here, this is a key point really, that nothing that we do as parents is fully under our control. And I think this is sort of what part of what Eric was saying, part of what Julian was saying, that some things that yes we are in control of, but not everything. That people are obviously in different circumstances. So if you have a child who's quite difficult, it depends where you are and it depends what your life is like as to how they grow up and what they're likely to do. If it's easy to get hold of a gun, then they're going to be more likely to do it. If it's a lot harder, then it's less likely. But the fact that you're their parent means that you're more or less likely to have those kind of results happen to you. But also our personalities. Some people just are naturally better at parenting than other people, which I think is the same with any kind of skill. So just as we finish off, feel free to ask questions if they come up. But just my last question. So we'll start off with Eric for this one. Eric, what do you imagine would be the most difficult thing about being a parent for you personally? When you think about having kids, is there something that you think, wow, that I would struggle with? Anything, Eric? Can you think of anything?
It's a difficult one. This question. Let me see.
On the other hand, if that one's too hard to think of, maybe what do you think would be the most rewarding aspect, like the most positive thing that you really look forward to about having children?
I know this,
Any
this is
ideas?
very abstract my idea, but the most difficult is to teach the child about the what is wrong, what is right, because sometimes the guy here can come to you and ask you why this is wrong, why can I cannot do this, so
Mm-hmm.
you have to manage this
Yeah.
uh, and they have the right to answer. Do not be too rude with his kids, but in the way that he or she can learn.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's absolutely a really difficult challenge. Interesting one. Thank you, Eric. How about you, Julian?
Really, for me, I think that I try to do everything in my life so fast that I could. Maybe the most difficult things of my personality will be the teach to the child the process in life. all in life, it's a process, and maybe on the finish of the process you can get different outputs, but really, in sometimes that's not important. The most important is the process, and give them this perception. It's very hard for me because I fight every day to that in my own life.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. So it's almost like you're saying that teaching them something that you find difficult is going to be the hardest thing for you, Julian.
Yeah.
Oh, good choice. Very interesting. Thank you. Maria, how
Okay.
about you? Have you finished reading? You've got any questions?
No, I am fine.
Okay, wonderful. So tell us what you think about you mentioned that maybe you probably won't be having children. If you did, if you just had to imagine a hypothetical situation, what do you think you would find the most challenging thing about it?
I think that the most challenging thing to raise children is how your children will be, because sometimes you gave them all, but sometimes turn around.
So yeah, it's sort of almost along the lines of what this article is discussing, really, Maria.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay, I agree. I think, yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we'll finish off with Martin. So, Martin, you can just tell us, was there something that you think that you could say was the most difficult thing about having children?
Well, of course, there's the practical things that when you are both working and your child has been ill for something, then, but we've been quite fortunate when they were young ones. My mother lived quite near to us, so we could always call for her. But for some people, that really can create problems if they have children with illness, and it can sometimes go on for a couple of weeks in some of the diseases nowadays, and that is problem. That creates problems. But otherwise, I think it has been quite easy and nice to have children.
Wonderful. All right.
I can recommend it. I would say.
All right, there you go, everybody. Martin recommends it. So there obviously are problems, but it's worth it all, Martin, right? All right. Thanks, guys. It's been a bit of an unusual topic today, but very interesting to have the discussion with you. Some lovely reading and some really tricky new vocab words that you might like to use next time you talk to an English speaker. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys again soon. Take care.
See you.
Bye.
Jeremy, goodbye. Great class. Goodbye.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Bye.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.